Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Marketer's Blueprint podcast. I am your host, as always, Nathan Gibson, and here with me I have the one and only Mr. Gabe Arnold yet again. Gabe, how's your week been?
It's fantastic. It's been a great week. There's been lots of great projects we've been delivering for clients with awesome results, and some new client projects coming in. Not a crazy busy schedule for once. So I had some white space in my calendar, which is always good.
If anybody deserves to take some time for yourself, it's you, Gabe. I know we've been very busy and have a lot of exciting things going on at BME, as well as exciting things to talk about today. I am very excited to talk about what we have planned out for today. And we'll just get it kicked off. So we're going to kick off today's episode by saying something that is a little bit controversial but true. And it's interesting in the world of marketing, and that's, do looks really matter? Now, hold on. In day-to-day life, that's a different question, which we're not going to get into. But when it comes to the marketing world, yes, looks do matter. And we're going to dive into that pretty deep today because essentially, aesthetics play a crucial role in capturing attention and leaving a lasting impression when it comes to your websites, how your physical storefront looks, how you present yourself. First impressions do matter when you're in the world of business and marketing. When your brand looks good, you're more likely to attract leads and maintain brand loyalty. So in today's edition, we're going to be diving into a few tips that will elevate your brand's aesthetic appeal, because it is important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a ton of psychology behind this that we all experience every single day, but we're not all aware of. And so as we get into this, we'll talk about the psychological factors that really have a huge impact on brand aesthetic and things you need to be aware of. And also, as we always talk about, it really needs to be aligned with who you're trying to serve, because the aesthetics have to match the psychology of the person you want to serve. Otherwise, you're going to repel them unintentionally.
That's a great point, and we'll dive into that more. The psychology behind it is absolutely crucial. Gabe and I talk about psychology a lot. It plays into what we do in our personal lives, in business and marketing. But we're going to start off with something fun. As usual, I love to play a game every once in a while. I am known to be a game enthusiast, so we're going to do a quick rapid fire, Gabe. So you know the topic, you know what we're talking about. I'm going to give you, I won't necessarily time it, but I'll do maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and you're going to give me as many tips as you can come up with for an aesthetically pleasing brand, physical store, or website. Go.
It's a tall order. First thing you need to pay attention to is how many elements do you expect your audience to be able to absorb and understand when they first view your website, your social media, your physical store location? Because the more factors you put in their visual view, the more you're asking from a cognitive load standpoint. And so that's a really key thing to look at. Also, visually, you need to understand what colors, looks, styles, feels, textures your ideal target customer that you want to serve and attract will relate to. Because if I was selling to you as a anime enthusiast, Nathan, as you are, then I'm going to have a look and style and feel that looks like that, versus if I'm selling to a mechanical engineer, their brain is going to receive information very differently. So I couldn't take anime style elements that I would sell like an anime game or movie or thing you wanted to watch or play. I couldn't use that, aesthetic to sell to a mechanical engineer, because that would turn them off and frustrate them. And the same thing as if you're more on the creative, anime side. Again, if I bring you website or an email or something that is designed for mechanical engineers, you won't even acknowledge it because it doesn't live in the way that you think or operate in the world.
There you go. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's the most important thing, is tailoring what you want the impression to be to the target audience. And that's something we'll dive into a little bit deeper. Thanks for entertaining my little game. We all know we love those, and it gets the mood kicked off right. So essentially, I started off by saying, aesthetics in marketing and business do really matter. And we're going to go into a few things, but there's three things that you can take away right off the beginning of why they matter. One is first impressions, because first impressions are very important in most aspects of life, but also heavily in marketing and business. brand recognition, which is what you talked about, people understanding what they're looking for and tailoring that to a target audience, and then engagement. Like you said, if I'm an anime gaming type guy and I go to a website that's about building airplanes or something, I'm not going to engage with that because I have no idea what I'm doing. But if
Yep.
I go to a website that's selling a gaming computer or a mouse, I'm going to engage with that because I want to know more about the specs. I understand how it performs in games and so on and so forth, right? So those are three things that really matter when it comes to aesthetics. Now, we'll go ahead. We have 5 topics here that I'll get some feedback from you on and some thoughts, and we'll just dive right into them. And then the first one goes off of what we were just talking about, and that's consistent branding. So that involves a couple of things: developing a brand style guide, and then maintaining consistency across all channels, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A brand style guide, when I first heard about those years and years ago, sounded super boring and something I didn't want to put the effort into.
Yeah.
But what I've now realized and have seen from, probably almost a couple decades of utilizing things like that is
Mm-hmm.
that all the little details make up the composition of the whole picture of who your brand is and what your company represents. So even things as simple as we all use the same email signature and the same font in our emails, and we use consistent, fonts and document layout for, client deliverables. So when people are communicating with us, interacting, they're going to see it at that level. And then, of course, front facing publicly when we're attracting new, potential partner clients and prospects. Obviously, we use our brand colors and we write in a style and tone that's accessible but sophisticated. We spell out everything from the tone and style of writing and language that we want, the readability level,
Yeah.
to visual color aesthetics. There's layers upon layers of what you can put into a brand style guide, but you can start with something simple just so that communication that comes out of your company looks consistent, that,
Yeah.
social media you put out follows a style. Because if it's haphazard and all over the place, then psychologically, a prospect, without consciously realizing it, will discount your brand because if they see inconsistency in what you're putting out there, then they instinctively go, "Oh, there's probably going to be inconsistency in how they deliver
Yep.
what they're trying to sell me."
Absolutely. And Gabe, you're too good. You got to settle down. You're touching on the topics that I have planned out for us, okay? Calm down. No, but seriously, that's very important. I'll go ahead and skip ahead to one that I feel is very important that our fantastic design team has taught me about, especially when I was more heavily in strategy, and that's color psychology, right? We use the same colors for everything that we do in business marketing engines. Tell me a little bit about why choosing colors can be strategic. And then I know you're not a design expert, but you've designed a few things in your days, so maybe touch on a little bit of color theory as well.
Yeah, I years ago did some of the design work here for the company. Fortunately, our clients don't have to endure that anymore.
Oh, calm down.
But yeah, when we choose color, there's an energy and a feel to every color. So like
Right.
behind you, you've got black and yellow on your banner,
Yep.
and the yellow, there's an energy to that. There's meaning behind color, and so if we go back to like more of our prehistoric brains, then we would identify, brighter colors like, fire has like power and danger in it. Reds would be, interestingly, we would have some things that are red that you could eat. And also red could indicate, something's bleeding or like
Like a
there's
danger
really,
aspect.
yeah, there's like a danger aspect to it. When we go with lighter blues and whites and grays, those often can be associated with water or blue sky or
Calm.
calm. And so
Yeah.
there's deep color psychology, and with the advantage of what we have with AI in the world today, you could just pop into ChatGPT and
True.
say, list out the 20 most common colors that are used in marketing businesses and the psychology and meaning behind each color. That's a simple start point. There's so much more to color and combination of color, which is why we have world-class designers that are amazing
We
at that,
do.
that can communicate the energy that you want from your brand. Because if you went and looked at like the top 10 gym brands in the country, I can guarantee you that they have bright, bold colors.
Yep.
Oftentimes, those may be on a darker black background, so you can highlight like the energy and the standout and the result, or they may be on lighter colors, but you're going to typically see brighter colors there.
Yep.
Whereas when you go to Apple's website, you're going to see a bunch of gray tones. You're going to see
Sleek, modern.
be sleek. You're going to see white and wide open. That really speaks to it's a visual experience of what you'll experience when you
Yeah.
pick up an Apple device because of clean lines and intentional engineering and just
And there's a lot of thought behind that.
yeah,
They did that
exactly.
intentionally over the years.
Yeah.
They've built it that way to appeal. And now it's been that way for so long, we recognize that. That's a part of what we're talking about is like consistent branding is people are aware that gray, minimalist, white, all are associated with that kind of technology. And other companies try and mimic that as well. Another
Yeah.
example is like we work with a lot of supplement industries and a lot in the health space, and those are a lot of like white, green, and things like that. So color psychology is not to be underappreciated when it comes to marketing. So I love that. Another one we'll touch on is the benefits of using a clean minimalist design, such as effectively using white space and limit the number of fonts, like stick to a consistent font. We see that, and you'll be very aware of this as somebody who's been on the internet for a long time. Websites in the early 2000s and late 90s were vastly different than they are today. They were basically just big blocks of text. In my day to day, I still come across some websites that are like that, and they are just so dated. You immediately get like a, oh my gosh, they haven't updated their website since 1995. This looks like a blog. This is not a website. Whereas like today, you go to our website, businessmarketingengine.com. It's clear, it's bold, everything is minimalistic but informative, right?
Yeah. And that's when you're choosing your aesthetic and design of what you want the visual layout to be. Obviously, like we always say about pretty much everything in marketing and the tech we build for our clients, you'd really need to know your markets. If you're a B2B company, you're selling to another business, then the aesthetics of your website and your landing pages need to have adequate, full, informative information without creating overwhelm. So that's
Exactly.
white space, it's line spacing, it's breaking up paragraphs, it's putting the right representative graphics that are also telling the story because I should be able to scan a website and look at the headings and go, oh, I'm in the right place. I should be able to scan and look at a couple pictures and go, those people look like me. I identify with this. And then as I go deeper, then the information should be clear and easy and readable. However, if you are a company that's selling childcare related services, if it's like sports for kids or games and activities or summer camps, then you're selling to the decision maker, which typically is going to be the woman in the household or the mother, and they're going to need to identify with it, but they're also going to need to be able to get their kid excited. So if I go to, as an example, like my son goes to an awesome summer camp for a few weeks in the summer, when I go there, it's busier, it's brighter. I see exciting like
Right.
pictures of them doing rope climbing or canoeing or fishing. Like there's a lot more going on because it's meant to like stimulate the kids when they see it and say, "Oh, that looks cool," and it's meant to explain to the mom who is probably the number one decision maker with that stuff in a lot of cases. Oh, there's a lot of fun stuff going on. It's busy, and there's going to be a lot more aesthetically and elementally on those pages versus when I'm selling to a business owner. I need to be aware of the psychology that a business owner
Yeah.
faces hundreds and hundreds of decisions a day. A mom does too, but they have a different set of decisions they have to make. And like, is my kid going to be engaged with this? Does it look, here's the result you're going to get? It's clear and simple. I'm not going to overwhelm you with details right now. We can get into details as we engage and serve you. Those are the psychological factors we have to keep in mind. Too many elements or the wrong elements create cognitive overload and dissonance and friction, and we're actually asking people to make multiple micro decisions every time they pull up a piece of marketing from us or see something, and so we
Yeah.
want to be intentional about what decisions we're asking them to make.
Absolutely. You mentioned the complexity of this, and I understand that this may be complex to some of the business owners watching. If you're not a design expert, that's okay. We have some of the best designers in the world. They create things that blow my mind every day. And so if you need to create a cohesive and visually stunning brand identity, you guys can get a hold of us. You can talk to me. I can help you out with that. You can check out the website, businessmarketingengine.com, and see a little bit about how we design things. And if it resonates, perfect. We'd love to help out. We help a ton of business owners with their brand identity, color theory, design, all the things that we talk about today. So one of the things that comes to mind with this as well is high quality visuals. We are in an age of technological advance. Cameras are at top tier. You can pull out your cell phone and have a camera that 10 years ago would have been this massive Nikon 10,000 times zoom, and now you have that on the back of your phone. Like if I pull up my phone now, I have like 3 cameras on the back of it. So high quality visuals are not super hard to achieve these days when it comes to photography, right? So honestly, it's worthwhile to invest in some professional grade photography and videography and maintain a consistent visual style.
Yeah, absolutely. The ideal is definitely to spend, and it doesn't have to be astronomical. I mean, like currently, I would say people could get a good set of photos and a good brand representation for anywhere from, 1,500 to a few $1,000s. You would have a good baseline. So that's an option. If you're not at that stage of developing your brand, though, what I'd recommend is just remember some basics and, get somebody on your team and your family, somebody that you think they take good photos that you see from what they.
One in the family, right? Two.
And you literally can shoot everything on on an iPhone or any smartphone these days.
100%.
Keys to remember are to be intentional about whenever possible using natural lighting if you're going to take the photos, or spend a couple $100 and get studio lights off Amazon. They're cheap, they're easy, and if you need to be indoors, then you can use those. But you're going to get the most beautiful photos when you have natural light. So you always keep that in mind, like, not being in direct sunlight, but just having natural light through a window or,
Right.
outside without having direct light. Also, just taking 10 minutes, 20 minutes to go on YouTube and looking up videos around composition, photo composition is one of the biggest things that people aren't aware of early on as amateur photographers. And so where you place your subject, there's a lot of things you can do on your own. But what I would definitely recommend is steer away from using too much stock photography. Definitely steer away from AI generated images, as we've talked about.
Please. We have an episode on that, guys. Please.
Yeah, because that just lowers the trust in your brand. It'd be better for you to do your best, take some shots. And I always encourage people, if you're going to shoot stuff yourself, when you know you need one image for your website or for your newsletter or for your social media, take 10 or 15 just by default, because one, you'll be more relaxed, your subject will be more relaxed. If you're shooting a product that you have, take 10 or 15 or 20 and choose the best.
Right.
That's the simplest hack for doing your own photography, is take more photos than everybody else, and you'll find a couple decent ones in there. But it's really important to have authentic images of what you're doing and who you are. Like, for those that follow me on social media, I always just post real life photos of what I'm up to, and that's going to connect with people a lot more than using stock photography or even over polishing professional photography. So when you bring in a professional photographer, find somebody that helps you feel relaxed, at home, normal, you're in your space, and they're going to capture the energy of who you are as a leader in your business. And we have some amazing recommendations for photographers we can give folks as well if anybody needs that.
Absolutely. And I think that's a key thing to remember too, is like there's a difference between taking a professional headshot and taking a selfie of what you're doing at work. And so you can use the difference in those for, putting your professional photo on, an application or something like that, or if you're just taking organic photos for your social media or your TikTok. Things don't have to be perfect. People will resonate with you more if it seems more organic when it's the right setting for that. So it's not to be undermined. That also brings something to mind on the other side. We talked about photography and the importance of that, but there's also typography, right? We touched a little bit on fonts and being consistent. So we encourage you to use readable fonts that match the vibe and the feel of what you're trying to express, right? And you can also use typography to kind of create hierarchy for emphasizing certain points here, or using a certain font to convey a certain type of feeling, right? You can do that with photography, and people realize that a lot because you can see expressions and emotions, but you can also do a similar thing with typing, right?
Yeah, with typography, you're exactly right. Typically, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we're very creative people. And so what I see people make some pretty big errors in is they like to use like really fun scripty fonts, or they want to use something creative because they think that represents them, or they enjoy reading that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, the simpler your font is, the easier it is to read. And also how much text you put in a paragraph, like how many sentences, your line spacing, those things are all micro, psychological decisions and factors that we have to pay attention to. And it's important to remember in your marketing that most people you're marketing to went through some level of schooling where they had to open a textbook, and the textbook was wall-to-wall text, and it was overwhelming to try to process that information. So we don't want any of our marketing to be associated with learning overwhelm or information overload.
Yeah.
So that's why typically short sentences, short, paragraphs of a handful of sentences, not long blocks of text, line height, spacing, all those things have a big impact on how we psychologically perceive scanning the information. And so then when we have clear headings, I can scan and go, oh, these are the 3 or 4 things that are in this content. And if the first paragraph looks accessible and easy for me to digest and read, then I'll read the first paragraph, and that should carry me down to the next paragraph. So laying out your typography is absolutely crucial. And it's definitely something that I've seen people just lack of awareness, the same as me when I started out, don't understand that that's a factor, but it has a massive impact on conversion rates on landing pages. If your emails are going to get read and people are going to click through on your emails, social media, even formatting, even though you don't have as much typography control there at all, there's still formatting of how you write things out there that's key to be aware of.
Yeah. One of the points I wanted to touch on this too was like put yourself into the shoes and the perspective of who you're wanting to consume it. You don't want it to be this massive hunk of words that just we talked about first impressions. Your first impression is, oh my gosh, that's a lot of reading. I don't have time for that. Scroll off the page. And then you're going to lose somebody's business because you had this chunk of information that might be great information and very useful, but you don't have the attention span of the person because it's not spaced well. It's not condensed. We have a team of expert copywriters that are so good at condensing information into the most readable way possible to get everything you need across to take your customer through the journey without being overbearing or underwhelming. It's about finding that healthy mix of something that's informative but also readable and digestible, right? And our team is really good at doing that. They blow my mind every week with our newsletter, which has a lot of the topics that we talk about on the podcast. So they do a great job. So those are 5 key topics to keep in mind when you're creating a aesthetic around your brand. Just to go over them one more time is consistent branding, maintaining high quality visuals, clean and minimalist design, color psychology, and typography. Definitely make sure to pin this video if you guys are looking to create a good identity from your brand, because these are things to keep in mind. And of course, if you need help, please let us know. One of the last sections we have is, as always, my favorite, our wins for the week. We had a team-wide meeting yesterday where we had all kinds of fantastic wins that I would love to share all of them with you, but we try to keep things pretty neat here, so I'll just go over one. With a company we work with called Reach Success. We successfully created a newsletter for them to help drive donations for a nonprofit, and they got a ton of positive feedback. A lot of people think that we can't help out nonprofits because we're a marketing agency. So not true. We have worked with dozens, if not more, nonprofit agencies over the past and really helped them for the causes that they support. How we did this is we crafted a compelling, keyword there, compelling newsletter featuring inspiring success stories and clear calls to actions to give their clients a clear direction and strategy for generating donations for the good cause that they support. The client and their board, which is usually the case with nonprofits, were honestly thrilled to see the results that we generated for them because it expressed interest in further collaboration, right?
Yeah, no, I always love when we get to work with nonprofits like Reach Success because they change lives, and so getting the word out there to everybody that's on their list and all their supporters was awesome because we were able to explain, here's the result that your money gets. It's a different type of sale when you're a nonprofit, but it's still sales. It's like when people are giving donations, they're expecting a result. They're expecting something for their money, even though they're being charitable, which is awesome. The nonprofits I give to, Reach Success is one of them I've given to over the years, and other ones like my local food bank. I like to see, oh, cool, I donated and this many people got fed, or I donated and this education happened, or this changed. And so
you understand the impact. And that's so important when marketing for a nonprofit.
Yep, exactly.
So that's one of the many, many wins that we have. You guys can check out our website to see more. And I wanted to also let you guys know about a little bonus that we have as well. So as we have determined on today's episode with brand identity and all the things that we discussed, at the bottom line, your logo is the face of your brand and your customer's first impression of your business. It is very, very important. So if you need some help determining what makes a good logo and really can match what you're trying to convey, you can download our free infographic to learn about how to create a logo that not only captures attention, but drives recognition and will set you apart from competition in the space that you're in. For our YouTube folks, we'll have it pinned in the description below. And guys, if we missed anything, feel free to comment. If you guys are a design expert and you know much more than Gabe and I, let us know. We always want to learn more, but I feel like we covered quite a few things today, and I hope everybody learned a thing or two, Gabe.
It's been fun. Branding is absolutely crucial, and it doesn't get talked about enough, so I'm glad we had this episode.
It doesn't. So I think that is a wrap for today. We covered a lot of great topics today, guys, and it was a pleasure to be back on with you, Gabe, and we will see all of you on the next episode.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.